peasant family. The oldest daughter, Angelita, had just turned 17 and was lying in her bed thinking, "What I really want in life is to study and learn culture. I know I have the talent for it. I'm going to make it as a renowned dressmaker. I will make it." One day, her Aunt Carlota, knowing of her dreams, taught her how to do embroidery and sew beautiful dresses. The niece felt fulfilled with her aunt's praise. Her great ability weaving embroidery on towels and designing beautiful dresses and modeling them. That year, the peasant families would have much to celebrate, for the vineyard was bountiful with sweetened clusters for the preparation of the very special wine. Angelita wanted to show everyone her sewing skills, and that moment would be ideal. With skillful hands, she transformed a simple dress that her boyfriend Eleno had given her into a masterful outfit that would draw everyone's attention, and there would be a party to celebrate. On the solemn day, the long-awaited celebration began with the presence of Count D'Alessandro's family, accompanied by his wife Célia. Everything was adorned with arrangements of fragrant flowers, and there was a huge table with delicacies and wine for everyone to enjoy. The culmination of the party would happen with the presentation of dances and songs. Elenos, Angelita's boyfriend, mastered the art of playing the violin, and together with his father, participated in the musical group that would open the long-awaited event. Everyone was amazed by the harmonious sound of the group, especially the Count and his wife, who after the performance went to greet the musicians. The Countess Célia approached Eleno to greet him and noticed the presence of Angelita by his side. She was wearing a beautiful dress, and the noblewoman, very surprised, asks her who made it, because it was perfect. The young woman happily answers that it was she who transformed it, that before it was a very discreet and dull model. Cecilia, interested, invites her to work at her house every afternoon during the week to remake her clothes, which were not very elegant. The girl felt honored with the invitation and said she would talk to her parents, but they would certainly approve willingly because they knew her goal of being a dressmaker and hoped for her success. And so it happened. The girl, from the following week on, was a dressmaker at Count D'Alessandro's house. The Countess, very vain, started to go to meetings with her friends to enjoy the afternoon tea, always wearing beautiful dresses. As a result, other ladies of high society wanted to meet her dressmaker and become her customers as well. But Cecilia said that her dressmaker was exclusive, as well as the models she wore. The Marquise Beatrice did not give up and found out who was the talented dressmaker. So, more than quickly, she went to Angelita's house and offered her an enviable salary, as well as a spacious house for the whole family, if she would agree to be her private dressmaker. Everyone approved the invitation and went to live in a very spacious house. However, the house was far away from Heleno, and the lovers had very little opportunity to meet, and this cooled their relationship. After a few days of work in Beatrice's house, Dionísio, son of the Marquise, showed a lot of interest in Angelita's beauty and youth. He was constantly flirting with her. The seamstress was embarrassed and did everything to avoid the young man. The Marchioness, afraid of a relationship between her son and the commoner, temporarily removed her from her work, ordering her to steal only in the house that had been lent to her, since Dionísio would soon leave that land and she would return to her activities. The next day, Dionísio shows up by surprise to visit Angelita and tells her that she and her family must leave the house where they lived immediately. However, there was only one resource for them to stay: that she spent that night with him. The girl vehemently disapproved of the proposal, and the villain mercilessly attacked her, demanding that she left the house together with her family. The family members were shocked by Dionísio's violent and indecorate attitude, and tried to talk to the Marchioness, but she would not listen to them, because she knew about her son's irascible temper, and did not want to get in trouble with him. The dressmaker, grieving, went to Heleno to ask for his support, but he was dating a young peasant girl and was indifferent to her pleas. Fortunately, Aunt Carlota, her father's sister, allowed everyone to move in with her so that they would not be homeless. This strengthened their bond with their aunt even more, and their learning intensified. It didn't take long, and something new happened. The seamstress, in her contacts, learned that a French lady passing through that region wanted to meet her and accepted the invitation, foreseeing a job opportunity. Madame Giselle invites her to work in her atelier in France, where both would do sewing for the female elite. The girl accepted, as long as she could bring her parents and her brother Vinicio. The French woman said that she could not accept her request because it was a business startup, and both she and Angelita would have to live in their own atelier, with no room for a family. The young woman was sad and said that even if she was far away, she would not forget her loved ones, and as soon as she could, she would send news and money, and, from time to time, she would come to visit. Already nostalgic, she promised that soon she would have her own atelier and would come back for them. Vinicio and her parents hug her emotionally and stay like that for a long time. As she approaches Aunt Carlota, Angelita takes her hand and speaks to her. Aunt, I am very grateful to you for sheltering us in your house and for all your dedication and patience in teaching me the first steps of sewing. Cheer for me. I want to be a winner. My girl, I am happy about this recent opportunity in your life. But don't let work steal your youth. Work is necessary, but don't forget yourself and your family. Moreover, something tells me that in France, besides the success you will have at work, there will be a commitment to Christ the Consoler. I'm sorry, Auntie, but I don't understand. When the time is right, you will understand what the commitment will be. Go with God. The years went by, and the contact with the family was forgotten, because Angelita's dedication was only to her work. Her clothes were sought after by the richest ladies of the Parisian society. Her fame reached the female public in such a way that led her to make her dream come true: to have her own atelier. However, she had forgotten her promise to look for her parents and her brother. Finally, one fine day walking through Paris, she meets a lady named Solon, who was wearing a garment of her creation. Solon recognizes the dressmaker and congratulates her on her beautiful sewing art, and an empathy emerges between them, and they talk a lot. At a certain moment, Solon is silent and stares at the waters of the Seine River that was passing nearby, and thoughts fill her mind. She lets them flow and expresses herself. Mademoiselle, listen to me. I have a message from someone in the spirit world who loves you very much. It is a woman, and her name is Carlotta. She asks you to go and meet your parents and your brother. They are going through a great ordeal. They are in need of everything. Go and help them. They need you urgently. The seamstress could not believe what she had been told and spoke to herself. My Aunt Carlotta surely is still alive. And also, I don't believe that someone who dies sends messages. Even in disbelief, her mind was boiling with questions. How could that lady know her aunt's name? She had never spoken of her life to anyone, and especially any personal matters with customers. After a few days, for her surprise, Madame Solon entered her atelier, interested in one more of her creations. The dressmaker receives her kindly, and, at the farewell, Solon looks back and says to her, "What a pity, mademoiselle, that you didn't believe the message I gave you. But I can tell you that your Aunt Carlotta, your father's sister, is no longer on this physical plane, and that your family needs your financial and loving help. Your parents are elderly, and your brother is in no condition for service due to an accident that happened to him, making it impossible for him to work in the vineyard. Don't think twice. Go." Solon, committed to helping the dressmaker, tries to reawaken in her the importance of her responsibility as a daughter. Then, she takes out a book that was in her purse, called The Gospel According to Spiritualism, opens it, and reads the following passage. Final piety. Honor your father and your mother is a consequence of the general law of charity and love to neighbor, because one cannot love his neighbor without loving his parents. But the imperative honor implies a further duty towards them, of filial piety. God wanted to show that to love, respect, and esteem, obedience and condescension must be added, which implies the obligation to do them in a more rigorous way, everything that charity determines in relation to one's neighbor. At that moment, after hearing that narrative, Angelita felt something singular, as if Aunt Carlota were there with her captivating smile and her sonorous voice. Sensitized, she lets tears stream down her face. Solon notices her emotional state and continues. Mademoiselle, life does not end at the grave. We are all immortal. The doctrine of the spirits, to which I am adherent, explains to us that the spirit is eternal. Only the body is a transitory garment. Our departed ones can communicate with us through mediums. If you wish to verify this truth, I will give you the address of our meetings. I think it will be of great importance in your journey on earth. Another thing, go to your relatives. Don't let your dear ones in difficulties, for this will weigh heavily on your reincarnation scales. Solon says goodbye, saying, Remember, mademoiselle, happiness is the peace of duty fulfilled. After those recommendations, Angelita decides to arrange the trip to rescue her family. After 3 days, she was visiting her dear ones and was confronted with everything Madame Solon had told her. The death of Aunt Carlota, the accident with her brother Vinicio, and the critical financial situation her family was going through. The seamstress quickly takes several steps and convinces her family members to go with her to Paris to live together in her house. Now her heart was light, for she had kept her promise. Back in Paris, Angelita goes to Solon to thank her for everything and ask her for guidance in helping Vinicio, who was still suffering from the after effects of the accident he had suffered. Solon, very happy to meet her, tells her that she has a cousin who's a specialized doctor and works in a hospital in the outskirts of Paris, and offers to take him for a consult. On the appointed day, Solon solicitously leads her friend to the kindly Dr. Jean, who was also a reader of Allan Kardec's works. The modest and the doctor express between a look of emotion and sympathy, as if they knew each other from a distant past. The doctor's prescription for Vinicio was only the need for medication to relieve the pain and the long period of physical therapy. Solon, at the moment of farewell, speaks to Angelita. Everything is going well now. You have kept your promise to bring your relatives, and your brother's case is not serious. However, there is something missing that you promised on the other side before being reborn. The astonished dressmaker asked, "On the other side? I don't understand." "Mademoiselle, you should know that before we became what we are today, we had already lived several phases in our life trajectory. The other side is the spiritual world where we come from and where we will go after our demise. And you'll see, you will be an adept of the Christ Consoler. So here again is the address of our meeting. Come be with us. You will give us much joy." And so, the dressmaker remembers what Aunt Carlota had told her when she was preparing for her work in France. Without hesitating, she took the address from Solon and decided to go that very day, as soon as she had left her brother at home, to meet the spiritualist. Her heart demanded it. Angelita punctually arrives at the meeting place and is welcomed with a smile by her friend, who invites her to be introduced to everyone present. The seamstress watches with curiosity the whole process of the opening of the long-awaited meeting. One of the participants reads the following text. The true spiritist is not the one who believes in the manifestations. It's no use believing if the belief doesn't make you take a step forward on the path of progress and doesn't make you better for your neighbor. Next, a prayer is said and Madame Solon gives the passivity to a spirit that manifests itself in words, addressed to the dressmaker. Angelita, my sister, today is born for you the opportunity of a new cycle. The benefactor spirits await you in the stream of love. You will be a disseminator of the Spirit's doctrine that is the consoler promised by Jesus 2,000 years ago when he stepped on earth. Invite your brother Vinicio to participate. He is a medium and will contribute a lot with his gifts for the strengthening of our doctrine. You will have the free will to accept or not this invitation, but know that it will be a glorious milestone in your lives. After that message, Angelita was thoughtful, evaluating everything she had heard. As she said goodbye, she told her friend that during that week, she would talk to her brother and they would decide about the new invitation together. Solon tells her that all her companions would stay in positive thought for her and Vinicio, and advise her to read the Beatitudes, where she would find the necessary support for her decision. On the appropriate day, Angelita and Vinicio, resolute and happy, entered the meeting room for the beginning of a new journey of dedication to the doctrine. At that very special moment, someone in the spiritual world emanates a light of love, involving the beginners, which irradiates to the whole group. It was the codifier who thanked Jesus for the mission entrusted to him, so that the Spiritism would reach more and more the hearts of men of goodwill and spread throughout the world, comforting everyone who needed it.